Back in the 2010s, I remember getting hold of a game, one in which allowed you to make your own movies, create your own actors, and just have fun making all kinds of absurd stuff straight off an Adult Swim show. While vastly limited in possibilities, it didn't deter me from attempting to make serious projects and upload them online. Sadly, majority of them are all long gone, as well as my old YouTube channel. One of the surviving relics was a movie called Night of the Living Grape. Yeah, let's just say it was one of those just random teenage boy humors kind of things, made by me and a former friend back in the 11th grade. So since it's been years, I decided to get the game again since it's abandonware. Plus, I could finally also get hold of the Stunts and Effects expansion pack to add more stuff, as well as the deluxe exclusive items and the more expensive versions of the game, which adds new costumes. So let's jump into the movies made by Lionhead Studios back in 2005 for Windows PC and see if it's any good and worth your time as it was mine. To start, one must choose which mode to play. Do you want to play a more objective career or sandbox? The sandbox is best and the only mode I'll cover since it's mostly the same stuff, just without some limitations and restrictions on how you play and what you can make. So once you chose sandbox mode, pick the starting year, money, and other options like instant set building, set degradation, stuntmen, and more. It's best to choose the best settings on display here to help ensure you're making movies with as much ease as possible. Oh, and don't go making movies till you're a few years into the game, which will take several hours, so the video quality isn't awful, and you have more access to sets, costumes, effects, video quality, you name it really. So instead, just start up, build your studio by placing all the required buildings, like a crew recruitment building and an actor recruitment building. Without these, you can't have actors, directors, extras, and crewmen needed to produce and star in your creations. Plus, there's other stuff, like a writer's building to hire people to make stuff for you, bars and restaurants for stars to pull a Jonah Hill. You can also create a therapy building to keep them mentally well. You can also give them trailers and some decorations like a hot rod to build their star rating, which affects your video quality and box office hit possibilities as well. There's a lot to it really, but who cares? We just want to get to build a research building so we can acquire all the awesome new tech for movie making and create something out of it all, which means hiring randomly generated actors made by the game. You can even create your own actors and actresses, but this has to be done outside of the game in its own program called Star Maker, where one can make anyone they want, real or fake, but it's not that deep of a creator. As such, no matter how hard you try, your characters will never look like what you want. Also, you cannot give them clothes or accessories, only hair and facial hair. It's a lackluster mess, and a few hairs you get are just too generic and not broad enough in range for much variety and accuracy for when you make real people like Moist Critical, Asmongold, Scott the Wise, Brutal Moose, Angry Joe Show, Call Me Kevin, and Jim Pickens, Civvy11, hashtag Free Civvy, some ordinary gamers, or even myself for that matter. So let's move on to the real fun of the game, that is the movie making portion. First, you need to decide your stars, their costumes, names, the movie genre, the title, and what kind of style of movie making you want. In this case, you want freeform for total control. This here is a movie I've already premiered on my channel, but now you can see what it's like to make a moist movie yourself. You select the set and a corresponding action. The action is the scene that plays out. You can search all kinds of terms and categories as well as how many roles the scenes have to thin out from the many options to find what you're looking for. After that, you get a loop of that scene and see what's going on. You can alter the scene with different outcomes, how long the scene plays out, who stars in it, what props they use, extra set props, weather, lighting, and more. Once you have what you want, you start the next scene, and keep moving along until you have a movie that you want. You have a few genres to work with here, starting with action for those who want a more intense scene or movie, from Bruce Lee kung fu fights on city rooftops to exploding World War II sets and dog attacks. Or something more mood setting like romance with flirting and kissing, or even weddings to get your loins all moist. Nothing says sexy like watching moist critical fuck a werewolf. But then there's sci-fi for those who want to boldly go where no man has ever gone before, with cheap green screens and props. Making ships fight each other, using transport ships, corridor laser fights with lizard aliens from outer space, who just want to take all of the virtual machines in existence, so the moist clones have to stop them.
Well, I don't know.
Then there's horror movies, but these are sadly lacking in the slasher department, as you can't make scenes of people attacking each other with weapons. In fact, horror is the most neglected genre of the bunch. You have action, romance, science fiction, horror, and comedy. Those are the 5 genres you get to work with. But horror just lacks scenes, costumes, and sets. I couldn't ever really make anything with this one, which sucks cause I liked horror back in the day. Not so much anymore as my tastes have changed since 2011. But still, you only have a few scenes involving monsters like werewolves, vampires, and zombies. There's no pyramid for mummies or castles and mad scientist laboratories for Frankenstein monster movies. Honestly, it's the one genre I wouldn't bother with. But of course, for comedy, you have plenty of goofy scenes like banana peel slipping, or hitting people with boards, or even toilet humor. Hooray, America.
not funny.
Overall, it's an okay time, but so many restrictions and lack of proper flow causes the movies to feel jarring in comparison. So you can have a scene with them fighting zombies but not running away from them. You can have a scene where a man turns into a werewolf, but not one where it attacks people or howls at the moon or even turns back. There's no sets for various locations, such as there's a school hallway, but no playground, classrooms, principal office, gymnasium, etc. There's a bar, yet no stores or apartments or hallways or bedrooms. There's no trenches or bunkers or beaches for the war sets. You just have a generic battlefield in a war-torn European town. So many scenes are also exclusive to certain sets, which leads to more creative restrictions, and I just hate it. Also, why do you have the sci-fi genre, but no laser swords? There is no lightsabers, there's no force, there's nothing. It's very early 1900s only sci-fi. What the hell? There was only ever a single expansion for the game, and it was Stunts and Effects, which doesn't really add much to the game. It's just cut content to be sold later. It's mostly just a few new costumes and sets, with some action scenes like explosions and fire and dogs. That's about it. Literally not much else was added in. You can enable injuries with stuntmen and have to send people to the hospital, but otherwise that's about it. It's not worth it. Heck, even the giant monster scenes it adds are lackluster and crap, much like the game itself. And then there's the ton of technical problems, which makes sense given this is a Lionhead Studios game. So just like Fable, this game suffers from slowdown, stutter, crashes, audio issues, and more. Some of the best technical experiences is when you export your movie, but it breaks the last of the video, so you don't get the ending, just the audio and any subtitles you add. Or the video quality doesn't work right when you switch to the better quality and the video is unwatchable. Or when sound effects loop over the entire movie like a car driving, so you have to lower the volume of the movie and dub loud music over it so it's not as noticeable. Otherwise you'd have to completely remake the whole movie from scratch. Honestly, I could go on and on and on and on about all the problems this game has. But this video is long enough. Time to get it over with. I mean, it's not like anyone watches my work no matter how hard I try anyways. At the end of the day, The Movies is a mediocre game that has too many flaws. From its lackluster character creation, to the vastly limited kind of movies you can make, with camera restrictions and certain actions only being on certain sets. The obvious you're on a set with camera angles showing the outside world, and more. not to mention all the bugs and glitches, the performance issues and exporting issues of movies. I've used this for over a decade, and I can honestly say this game is just a mediocre, flawed experiment by a company that has only ever made mediocre games. From Black and White to Fable, Lionhead Studios was never a great company. You're all just blinded by nostalgia and fanboyism to think otherwise. However, I still do recommend the movies. Just don't go in expecting to make anything serious and hoping it will take off online, because it never will work out. You'll always suffer some type of technical hiccup with this program, and honestly, it's just something to screw around with, nothing more. Anyways, that's about it. See ya all later.